What is happening, Flip Flop fam? I am here with Garr Russell. But Garr, for people who don't know, who are you and what do you do?
Hey y'all, I'm a serial entrepreneur. That's what I do. I start businesses. It used to be start, scale, sell. And then I thought, well, heck, why am I selling them? They can make me income while I move on to the next. So now I just start, scale, supervise, I guess we could say. And my our main business, we dabble in real estate, a couple other things, but our main business is RV rentals. And basically what we are is we're a property management company for RVs.
I love it. I love it. And a number of reasons why. The book I just launched today is all about scaling. So specifically for custom home builders, but I've scaled a lot of my own businesses and have had that quandary at the end where do I get rid of it? I'm so tired of doing it. I don't even want to be on the board type vibe or etc. But ton of real estate. I had a property management company that I sold in Charlotte as well. And so I love the concept. The wife and I were just looking at motorhomes like 2 weeks ago.
Mm.
So talk to me. Like, how did you end up in this niche? I imagine like balls of flames going down the highway and wicked high insurance claims when I hear
Yeah,
that.
right.
But that can't be what goes on, right?
No, I mean, you definitely have damages, that's for sure. That's going to happen. But, I call it kind of a pain to purpose business. I bought my wife an RV for our 10-year wedding anniversary. And at the time we were up in Michigan, I brought it to Grand Haven and set it up on, at the lake and all these things. And well, my wife was 7 months pregnant with number four, chasing a toddler. And so that lasted for a handful of hours. And she said, I'm going home. This is horrible. I'm hot. I'm sandy. I'm sweaty. I'm all the things I don't want to be right now. And so there I sat, in my mind's eye. This was so long ago now that in my mind's eye, I'm sitting there with a marshmallow on a stick, feeling sorry for myself, and the marshmallow falls into the fire, and I'm like, "That's it, this blasted RV." But I went ahead and I just threw it up on Craigslist for rent, and believe it or not, within a couple hours, people are messaging me, "Hey, we're going here next weekend. Can we rent it? Do you deliver? How does it work?" And there we go.
So this is interesting. So I had an Airstream. I had two Airstreams for a while. And I've been to Grand Haven. I'm from Michigan, so I've been all around the whole place.
Okay.
And we actually took the first Airstream, parked it behind one of the houses in Charlotte, and put it on Airbnb. Just nobody's towing it anywhere. It just sits there. They can come rent it. It's cool. Whatever. We build a little patio. The reason I didn't do what you're doing, and I know there's people out there that would love this as a business, just because it sounds like so much fun. How do you like? Are they all tow behinds? Are they motorhomes too? I'm guessing you do everything.
Yeah, we have drivables, towables. Yeah, the bumper pulls, fifth wheels, class Bs, ABCs. So we offer all the different rentals and most people, if it's a travel trailer, they're going to pay to have it delivered somewhere. And that you get your occasional renter though, that it's like grandma, grandpa, they've sold their RV and now their kids bought RVs. So they're like, hey, we'll just rent one for a weekend, stuff like that. But yeah, all different scenarios and too. And that's why I would call it real estate. I talk about this in my real estate story is it's not just people going camping. It's during COVID, it was mobile quarantine units. I had you being from Michigan, you're familiar with Consumers Energy. I
Hmm.
had 72 RVs parked at power plants around Michigan as mobile quarantine units for electric engineers. And then we have Talladega races, Bonnaroo Music Festival, you know, part of someone's house burnt down. And so they need an RV on the side of their house. Insurance is paying for it. The list goes on and on and on. It's a home on wheels. So the uses are quite extensive.
Yeah, and I love that you phrased it that way because we had dozens and dozens and dozens of Airbnbs in Charlotte, and the question was always, well, like, why are all these people coming to Charlotte? There's no way there's a market for that, and it's like same reason you end up in any city. It's not just because you're there as a tourist. You might be going to a conference, maybe going to a sports thing. You might, visiting grandpa as a wedding. Like there's a billion reasons somebody goes to a city, and you just put me right in my place when I'm like, clearly it's just for the guy camping, right? And so, so I totally get it, man. I totally get it. So So you start this franchise, and so I'm guessing you just started with one and then said, man, this would be a great thing to branch out. Why did you do a franchise and not just keep it all in house?
Well, we became a franchise around 2022, and it was really because the Lord told me, "You're operating as a franchise, become a franchise." And then a lawyer confirmed it. Yeah, if somebody was to sue you, you're operating as this, you need to be this. And so that's really how we became a franchise. I really didn't have a desire to. It's a long, expensive process. And then kind of back to our origin story too. I started renting my RV. I messaged my buddy Jeremy, "Hey, dude, I'm renting my RV. You want me to rent yours?" He's like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" He had a job. I didn't, so I could, moving around, stuff like that for him, managing my other businesses. Then I messaged my buddy Darren, same deal. He's like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And then I messaged my sister-in-law Tiffany, and she's like, "No, that's a horrible idea. Like, I'm not gonna let somebody sleep in the bed of my camper. Get lost. Where'd you come up with that stupid idea?" I thought, all right, well, I'm 2 for 3. I think we got something here. And then it just kind of went from there. I started engaging in different Facebook communities for people that were doing this. Because just like there's Airbnb and VRBO, there's platforms for renting your RV, just like heck, you can rent your. I don't know if this is a platform yet. Can you rent your dog out yet? I know you can rent your pool, your yard, your garage, your car on Turo. Are people renting their animals out yet?
I like it. Fido for a weekend. So what's the downside here? Like it sounds on its face, it sounds like a ton of fun. Obviously there's the somebody wrecks the thing or gets in an accident or something, but it's like what's the thing somebody's not thinking of that makes the job difficult?
Yeah, it's really that, repairs, insurance claims. That's definitely the biggest downside that I would say in this industry. In regards to repairs, we have our retreat coming up here in November. And the week after our retreat, we have a bunch of our franchisees that are staying to get certified as RV techs. So repairs, it's a moneymaker. Insurance claims, kind of same deal. There's insurance for this space the renter pays for, and they get vetted and they have deposits and all the things. But still, it's a bummer when something gets wrecked and then it has to go through the process of getting repaired. We've been doing this for almost a decade now. We've had under a handful of campers like get completely totaled. We actually just had one several weeks ago. They got totaled. It was not the way you would think it would be, though. It was a bear actually climbed into the sunroof, the skylight, into the camper, and then just naturally tore it up trying to get out of
Oh
it.
my gosh.
So you have random things like that that happened.
So you grew really fast, right? I mean, it wasn't you didn't just you have two now instead of one. I mean, you took off.
Yeah, we're at 67 locations across the
Wow.
country now. And really, right around uh, 2022, we are only at about 12 locations. And I call it that was during my COVID coma, I call it. COVID happened. I got super passive in my businesses. I started drinking daily, partying, just completely passive. And then in 20, actually it was March 17th of 2023 when I decided, okay, I gotta like get my stuff together. I quit drinking. Right after that, in May of 23, I caught COVID, and that's when I realized during that time it was like this. I don't know if you've ever had COVID, but every time you get it, it's like different. And this time when I got it, May of 23, it was like this mental warfare that I was under, suicidal thoughts, depression. I mean, it just hit me heavy. And anyway, the Lord really used that to kind of wake me up and get me to realize, hey, dude, you're not doing anything with your businesses. You're actually selling off a lot of your real estate to keep things afloat, to make it appear like you're still a successful entrepreneur. It's time to wake up and get back to business. And that's when during that time where I really just got back on fire for my businesses and got excited and we went from that, yeah, May of 23 to today from about a dozen locations to almost 70 now.
Wow. What's the biggest lesson in there? I mean, just you got a major operation now.
The biggest lesson that I think I learned during all that is honestly that life happens for us, not to us. I could have easily been a victim. I could have easily, continued down that path and given up and thrown in the towel, but thankful to God, number one, to my wife, number two, and then to the team that I had around me, that, what, all this stuff could be wood on the fire to just help us come back stronger than ever. And it sure was. It literally, coming on podcasts like this, sharing my testimony about how hope is never lost, you're never too far gone. Really taking all that and just getting into my businesses and learning my numbers that much better, uh, learning to master sales and marketing, and just getting my message out, and really too finding my audience, like finding those people that I'm called to serve, which for me, it's Christian entrepreneurs. That's my franchisees are Christian entrepreneurs. That's who I'm called to serve. And now knowing that and just being so solidified in that, man, it's so much easier to do what I'm called to do because I know who I'm called to serve, and I don't have to pretend to be one way or the other, which a lot of times happens in entrepreneurship, right? We build this kingdom up to prove something to our dad or to ourselves or to the world. It's like, man, I don't have to do any of that anymore, and it's such a freeing experience.
Yeah, it's I was just on the last call, and we're going to get to your question. And I was saying, I think before we hopped on, how there's a lot of different guests on this show, but the question to question to question is always very apropos. And you don't know who the next guest is going to be. Half the time, I don't know who the next guest is going to be. And I'll get to your question, but I was just telling her name's Aurora. Um, she was asking one of the biggest lessons, and we were talking about wisdom. And what I brought up was that I believe wisdom is understanding that everything happens for you, not to you. And the
Mm,
sooner you can realize that is part of wisdom. You don't wallow in it for 10 years. You just go, oh, there's a lesson here. Like, what
yeah,
was I meant to learn? And so it's just amazing that you, of course, you say that an hour later, you know,
that is so
that
cool.
same phrase.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love it. Tony Robbins talks about getting curious, and that's something that really helped me when I had that my what I call my COVID comeback. I was just joined masterminds and I was just studying and courses and all these things, and that's one of the things I learned is like when something happens, like get curious, like okay, why is this happening? Well, most of the times it's happening because of just a dumb decision. But hey, this is happening. But how can I actually learn out of this? How can I grow out of this? How can I, grow in wisdom?
Yeah, yeah. Love me some Tony. I can hear him and Wayne Dyer in my head and Deepak Chopra most 5 times a day during something going on. But so how can people find you? You know, if they're listening to this, they're interested. I don't like to leave that till the end of the show.
Go to garrrussell.com, GARRRUSSELL.com. You can download any of my books for free, or there's links to Amazon if you want to hold it in your hand. You can see our podcast, our YouTube channel, learn about either going on a camping trip, or if you got a camper sitting around that's doing nothing, put it in our program, or learn about the franchise opportunity.
Yeah, I like that you can so if I have a camper just sitting here, I can basically lease it to you guys and you handle it.
Exactly. Yeah, you
Yeah.
hand it off to us. It's completely passive for you. So, and the cool thing about it too that a lot of people don't know is, yes, you can earn the revenue, right? That's number one benefit. Number two is now you get to write off like insurance and repairs and storage and all that. And then number three, and now it becomes the same as a piece of real estate. And now you get to depreciate it under that same tax code that you can depreciate real estate or business equipment and stuff, which to some of our investors, that there alone is the benefit for them. They get to depreciate it and help offset their taxes.
Yeah. And I would guess like we always had owner stays, right? Like people could come use their lake house. Like I'm guessing they can block a week and take it for themselves off to the mountains
Yeah,
whenever they want.
yeah, most definitely. It's their RV, so whenever they want to block it off, they can definitely do that.
Super cool concept, man. Like it's I totally see why you've done so well. Like it's a brilliant idea. Um so I'm going to ask you your question that Aurora left, but before I do, what question would you like to ask the next guest?
What question would I like to ask the next guest? I would say, kind of based on what I was talking about, where is your hope? I guess would be the question I would like to ask them. Where is your hope?
Where is your hope? That's open-ended. I like where that one's going to go. All right, you ready for yours?
Yeah.
All right. What was something that seemed like a setback that became a blessing?
Mm. Man, I got many of those. Let me go back to one of the first things that actually shoved me into my entrepreneurial journey. In 2007, I got fired from my job for sharing my faith. And it was a series of events. You know, it wasn't just like called into the office, hey, you told somebody about Jesus, you're fired. It was literally the vice president of the company all of a sudden had it out for me when his nephew that worked for me went home with a Bible scripture and his mom questioned him on it. And it led to a series of events where I actually got hit by an F-650 at work, and they tried to use that to let me go. And then just kind of one event led to the next. And that there because that pushed me back into my entrepreneurial journey. And I talk about this a little bit in my real estate story, where before I gave my life to the Lord in 2003, I was a very, I guess, successful as you could be drug dealer until I got raided and locked up for it. But I was very content in that job. That I was there for many years, and I don't think if I wouldn't have got fired, I'd probably still be there. And so that really did shove me back into my entrepreneurial journey, now just the legal way. And man, that's just been such a blessing going on, almost 20 years.
Yeah, yeah. You look back on those things and all the quote unquote terrible things that happened to you and I think it was either Wayne Dyer or Ram Dass, one of those guys said, like everything that's happened to me had to happen for me to be the person I am and be where I am. And the proof is it did.
Yeah, it's so true. I actually my latest book called My His Story, and it's my history through the eyes of God. I God literally brings me through about a half dozen moments in my life where it looked like life was happening to me and I was a victim, and God literally brought me to those moments and showed me where it was life happening for me, making me the man that I am today.
Yeah, yeah, totally, man. Well, brother, before we bounce, anything else you want to leave the audience?
I would just say, based on that question that I'm giving to the next guest, is just if you feel like you're in a corner, you're stuck, you're on the edge of bankruptcy, you've had bankruptcy, you're divorced, illness, all these things, just to encourage you, it all starts with hope. And what I've realized recently in regards to hope, when just coaching and mentoring others, is the best way to get hope is to look back in your past when you were in situations where you had no hope but you got through. And as you go and you start looking at it, like, oh, that happened 20 years ago, this happened 15 years ago, that happened 12 years ago, and you realize, holy crap, I've been through 100 situations where I felt hopeless, but I got through. And guess what? That gives you just this expectation inside of you is all of a sudden created. You're like, I can get through this. This is nothing. I beat cancer, I beat bankruptcy, I beat all these things. And just encourage yourself that way that hope is never lost.
Yeah, man, great parting words there. I mean, it's taken to the extreme would be the people who like they retire and they die, or why people die right after holidays or after birthdays. It's like they don't have that thing pulling them forward, and it
Yeah,
literally kills them.
yeah,
And for us, I think to some degree it just kills you inside. And it's another Tony Robbins thing where where he talks about, a chair with no legs, and you just keep if you have two legs, it can teeter on one side. Three, we're getting stable. Four, eventually it's this immovable block, right?
oh
And that's when
yes,
you have
yeah,
confidence. And it's the same thing with hope, right? The more times you realize that you landed on your feet, the you're gonna get through it because you have it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. And to look back at our own past and see where we've gotten through things, that gives us so much more confidence than maybe looking at somebody else's story because obviously other people's stories and testimonies are very, very powerful. But when we can look inward and see how we've gotten through things before too, that's just such a powerful tool.
absolutely. I think we can leave it there, my friend.
Sounds good.
All right, Flip Flop fam, that does it for me and Gar. Go ahead and check all of his info out in the show notes. Go start a franchise, man. I'll come rent from you. Until next time, keep it on the flip side. Cheers.